Welcome to You Don't Have to Be a Millionaire. My name is Happiness. This podcast is for millennials and above. We are increasing financial literacy. We are learning about investing, saving, and money overall. No topic is off limits, and there are unlimited topics. Hello, wonderful people, and welcome back to You Don't Have to Be a Millionaire. If you do not know me, my name is Happiness, and if you heard the intro, you already know what this is about. We are bridging the gap of financial education between people who pretty much have it all and people who may not have some. And we're here to bridge that gap in between because financial education is not a privilege, it's a right. I am very excited to do this episode because I am introducing a new series, not only to this podcast, but also to the gram. If you follow me on there at Young Millennial Money, you know I post tons of content about finance, millennial finance, things relevant to finance in general, not just stocks and investing, which is basically the whole meat and potatoes of my page, but also just relevant topics within the world of money when it comes to us young folks. So if you don't follow me on there, that's another great resource for you, and also a big platform where I'll be doing this series. But basically, I am doing a buying a home series. Yes, you have heard it right. I am trying to buy a house. Whew, those words sound so foreign to me. Just to give you some background, I wanted to, or the process or thought process of me buying a house started last year. When I just graduated from school and started working, I was already thinking about buying a house. But I didn't really pursue that thought any further because I just finished school. I want to go ahead and save money and just kind of get my finances together. But now I'm going into it pretty, I don't want to say impulsively because I did give it some thought and I have done tons of financial planning. So it's not impulsive, like I'm just going to buy a house, but I'm definitely doing it. I'm definitely just going through the motion. Like I'm definitely just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to see how far I can get in this. So you guys are actually going along with a journey with me. And I don't know how long this series will be because the home buying process could be very different for everyone. So I can very much go through this process and not succeed. And I'm just going to, drag you guys along with me. I wanted to do this because buying a house is not the most simplest thing. It's not just getting a loan and you get your house. It can be, but I feel like there's a lot of things in the mix you have to really watch for and be careful to make sure when you're buying a home, you're financially secure and your home is financially secure, especially with interest rates and how much your payments will be. Because one thing is getting a house and another thing is staying in a house. So that's basically why I want to make this series, and I want to just show the parts that people don't usually showcase when purchasing a home, or things that's not easily found on Google. It's just really just experience, and I want to showcase all that stuff because there is a lot, even me doing these first steps in a process I am learning about, and the reason why I want to do this episode. So let me quick yapping. You came here to know basically the different type of home loans, and this is the first episode I want to do because I am learning a lot and I want to share this information when buying a house. So basically with buying a house, there are many different types of loans or lenders you can choose from, and that's pretty much the first step. I am going to do a more detailed video about actual steps into buying a house, so it's more cohesive and easier to follow along. But this is the start of the process, right? So we're just gonna go along with it. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about 4 different types of home loans, and I'm going to be breaking these down into what are they, some pros and cons, and basically what type of audience qualifies for these loans. And I think that's very important because you can say all these loans and you're like, well, which one do I qualify for? And Anyone could qualify for any of these, but it's just to give you perspective about who can really get these type of loans. So let's go ahead and get started. So 4 type of home loans I'm going to be discussing today. The first one I'm going to be discussing are conventional loans. So conventional loans are loans that are not insured or protected by the federal government. They're usually given by private companies such as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. If you never heard of those or those are foreign to you, I could definitely do another episode or some information about that. But that's a pretty popular term I used to hear, especially back in 2008 when the housing market was falling down. You was hearing a lot of like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. But basically, just to give you context, it's a private home loan company. The pros of conventional loans, they typically, depending on what type of loan, and this all depends on your salary, your credit score, all that stuff that kind of determines what you qualify for. But usually you can make less down payment with these loans. So that's very nice, especially for first-time home buyers who don't want to put all their savings into a down payment. They just want to put a little bit of money down. You could put down like less than like a 2% down payment, and it depends. They're usually easier to get approved for. And yeah, that's pretty much most of the pros of conventional loans. Some of the cons is that it is private, or it can come from private. And if you know anything about private mortgage companies, you sometimes need to be careful. You need to really research their reputations. How do they treat people who default on their payments? How do they treat people after they have a home for a long time? Do they adjust their interest rates? And private companies usually have their own rules and regulations. And with that con, it also just goes along with like I said, like anything can happen with the interest rates. You can have wavering interest rate. Your interest rates can go up. So that's one thing with private loans. And conventional loans are not insured or protected by the federal government. So that's another thing. You may have to come out your own way to get mortgage insurance to make sure that the lender, which is the lender is protected and you are protected if anything were to happen. In terms of the type of buyer for this loan, it's basically for people that may have like an average credit score. It's not terrible credit score, but it's not like perfect. And basically you don't want to put too much of a down payment on. This loan is kind of generally for the general population. If you just have like a basic salary and a basic credit score and things like that, you can get a conventional loan. The second home loan I'm going to discuss about is FHA. FHA stands for Federal Housing Administration, and this is a home loan that is a part of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. A FHA loan is known for being a great loan for first-time home buyers if you qualify. It's great for a lot of service jobs, and by service, public service jobs like teachers, registered nurses, police officers, firefighters. It's good for people like that, but anyone, if you apply, can qualify for FHA. A pro about FHA is that you could put down a reasonable down payment. Usually it's about 3%. This thing can definitely depend, but usually I always see 3%. That's a consistent thing I see. And another pro is that it's federally insured. So this is a big plus because, like I said, if you were to default on your payments, basically you can't pay for your house, or you can't afford to pay for your house. You are protected because the government is not just going to throw you out the house because you can't pay for it anymore. It will find ways to work with you, work around you to make sure you don't get kicked out. And usually the rates for these are fixed. A con for some people may be a 3% down payment may be too much for someone, and they may want something lower. And with FHA, you may have to put down that down payment. With FHA, you do have to pay a mortgage insurance. I don't say this is a con. It kind of depends, but mortgage insurance protects, lenders if you default. It protects you. And one thing about FHA, like I said, it offers reasonable down payment, fixed interest rates, and is great for a first-time home buyer. And you are protected by the government. So that's the biggest difference I want to clarify between an FHA and a conventional loan is the protection you will get. Private companies, as anyone can know, they can do anything they want. But with government, there's steps and process to things. I know the government could be a little, we got a little opinions about them, but FHA is very good for your house to be federally protected. The third loan I'm going to discuss about are VA loans, or Veterans Affairs. It's obviously given by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And for VA loans, they don't actually make the loans themselves, but they basically pair you with the right mortgage and the right company for you to buy your house through. A pro about this is that if you qualify, you don't even have to make a down payment, and it's much easier to qualify for than a conventional loan. I didn't find too many cons with this. Obviously, this is very inclusive to people that are in the military, or people that served before or within the Veterans Affairs. So that could be a con to the normal person. If you want to search if you qualify, that's one thing you can do. The fourth type of loan, and this isn't so much of a type of loan, but these are like type of mortgages. I guess mortgages is a loan, right? But just a type of mortgages. But when you are buying a house, you want to look into whether you are going to have a fixed rate or an adjustable interest rate. And the pros and cons for this is obvious. And I say it's obvious because, for example, if you were to buy a house for $200,000 at a fixed rate, meaning that it is set, it is not going to move up, it's not going to move down, it is fixed and it's staying right there. So you buy a $200,000 home at 3%, you'll forever be paying mortgage plus 3% on your home for the remaining of the usually 30-year timeline. Is usually like the timeline you use to pay off a house. An adjustable mortgage rate is the interest rate that is variable, so this can change, and there's a lot of different types of adjustable rates, but the key thing is that they're all adjustable, so they can move up or they can move down. And many people ask, well, what's the best for me? Personally, in my opinion, I would prefer a low fixed rate. It's guaranteed, it's safer, it's just better overall, especially if you get a real low rate. I just want to stick with that. With adjustable loans, there's like 5-year, they call like 5 out of 5 rule, where in 5 year, for 5 years, your rate stays the same. That every 5 years after that, it may change. And this change can mean you can go up. So you may have bought your house at a 2% interest rate, which is very good, and it can go up to 5, or it could go down to 1, or it can go up to 10. And I think with that, it's a little bit more unsettling because, especially in America, more than likely things go up. Rarely things go down unless the housing market were to hit another low, but things go up. You can always predict the market to go up. If anything, of course, you can refinance and negotiate, but things go up because people want money. And I do want to tie this with this being with a conventional loan. So imagine if you have a conventional loan for a private company, maybe this private company is not as reputable and they have an adjustable rate. So now your mortgage can go up, your interest rate can go up. Do you see what I'm saying here? That's why it's good to really do your research and kind of things you don't really think about when you're buying a house. Like the type of loan can really affect your finances. In the future, you could fortunately say you could lose a job. I mean, if anything about this pandemic has really taught us about instability of jobs and how jobs can just let us go. So you want to make sure your house is set in stone, your payments are consistent, your interest rate is fixed, all that stuff, so you know exactly how much is coming out your pocket every month for your cost of living. The fifth and final loan I want to talk about are just basically PMIs, or private mortgage insurances or loans. And these, like I said, come from private companies. You always want to make sure if you're borrowing from a private company, how this company acts. You want to see the pattern, how they treat their home buyers. Talk to people that have a loan with that company. You really want to make sure, because like I said, they have their own rules and regulations that are not monitored or necessarily looked over by the government. So you really want to make sure they are for the home buyer and not against the home buyer. As always, thank you guys for listening to this episode. If you want to continue to follow me along in this home buying process, go ahead and find me on the gram at Young Millennial Money. I will be putting a link in this podcast episode of the all the information I got, the websites and information. And during this series, I will be doing a lot more episodes about home buying, and any questions you have can definitely go into this episode. So stay tuned and listen out for the next episode.